What's the scariest space fact/mystery in your opinion? A few people have said this, but just the size of space is creepy to me. That far away. But what almost depresses me more that unlike in Stargate I will never be able to travel to any of it. Would love to see what's out there. Not scary exactly, more unfortunate if anything, but will probably never be able to properly communicate with alien species. Given the amount of distance between the planets of our solar system, I'd assume the distance to other universes and galaxies is too far to think about right now. If we receive and send a message right now, by the time we hear a reply back, we would probably be a completely different government and societal system. We would just be constantly introducing ourselves. Here's one closer to home. The Kessler effect is the theory that a single destructive event in low Earth orbit could create a cascade where satellites break up into tiny fragments, taking out other satellites, breaking up into smaller fragments, and so on, until the Earth is completely surrounded by a massive cloud of tiny flying death shrapnel, which would make leaving this planet almost impossible. If you look up how much space debris there is already up there and how many satellites currently orbit, plus the continued growth of the commercial space industry, I think about it a lot. Mobile black holes. To put it in perspective, it's exactly the kind of thing we'll never know about. Because if there was one heading straight toward us, we would be so unequivocally fucked. The absolute best case scenario is to just engage in global information suppression and murder anyone who finds out, so that the rest of the population don't descend into whatever chaos, realizing we're all going to die and there's nothing that can be done to stop it, would occur. I think the only thing we could do is literally move the planet and our solar system out of its way. That's the most realistic thing we could do. Ever gone on a road trip and hit a patch where you're just driving for hours and you don't see anything exciting? I've experienced this in Australia, Canada, and USA, all very large countries. Imagine doing that for years, traveling to another planet. Voyager 1 will outlive planet Earth. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this post would generate so much interest. Couple of clarifications. First, I was referring to Voyager 1, not 2, so fixed that. Which is not to say that Voyager 2 also won't outlive planet Earth. Second, my source mentions that it is plausible to imagine that Voyager 1 will outlive our planet given how incomprehensibly vast space really is. Gamma ray bursts. We could be hit by one of these with very little warning, and if it was reasonably close, in universal terms anyway, could wipe us out rapidly or cause a ton of damage. Dark matter/dark energy. The fact that about 95% of the universe is made up of matter we can't see or detect is pretty unsettling to think about. Also, I like to think that perhaps the answer to the Fermi paradox is that there are billions of advanced alien life forms out there, but they are physically unable to reach us due to technological limitations. Perhaps interstellar transport is only theoretical, and any aliens capable of reaching us are unable to do so in an acceptable length of time. Proxima Centauri may take 25 years for unmanned spacecraft to reach us, going 20% the speed of light, but perhaps it's impossible to transport actual life at these speeds without dying, so advanced civilizations have realized the futility of trying to contact other species and have simply given up. Rogue planets, planets that do not follow any given orbit. They may have been in an orbit at one time, but now they refuse to play by the rules. They were most likely knocked out of their orbit by another body, and now they are set on doing the same. I can't accept the fact that there is no end in space. But if there is indeed an end, then, what's beyond it? I'm stuck in absurdity. Edit. In the numerous answers I've received, the one that seems to come back the most is, the universe is curved, you would end up back where you started. Seems fair enough. Then again, that wouldn't mean there is no limit. On the contrary, that would just mean we are trapped in, or on the surface of, a sphere, but there is still a limit to this sphere. So the question remains, what's beyond it? The Boötes Void. An area of space where there should be 50,000 or so galaxies, compared to other areas of the same size, but there's only about 60. Could just be empty space for some unknown reason, or it could be an ever-expanding intergalactic empire using Dyson spheres. Also, I think it appears to be growing, but that could just be galaxies moving away from the void. Edit. So it turns out it's 2000 and obviously it's not gonna be aliens, but the theory is still cool AF. The scariest thing to me about this is the realization that we might be in some bizarre region of space too, but not currently be able to know it. This is a possible fate of the universe if expansion continues. Eventually, the horizon of the universe gets closer. Things will redshift out of existence, beyond the horizon of the universe. These things can no longer be observed. As the expansion of the universe accelerates, this horizon will draw closer and closer. It is possible that in the far future, when there are still stars burning and planets orbiting these stars, the rest of the universe might be beyond this horizon. It's possible that the entire universe might be legitimately a few 100,000 stars, and that's it. If the acceleration of the expansion continues to happen without end, this horizon gets smaller and smaller. Soon, galaxies will fall apart, then star clusters, then star systems, then atoms. This end of the universe is called a Big Rip, but the real brain-melting thing is that an observer 100 billion years in the future might see that there are no galaxies, and they would be correct. No galaxies can be observed. The time window to observe galaxies would have passed, and this observer would have no idea. What observation windows might we also missed? Or perhaps we're too early for an observation window. We might be lacking critical, fundamental information about the universe that is currently impossible to observe, and we'd never know it. Since the universe is expanding and stars and galaxies are moving away from each other, it's possible that civilizations that spring up in the far future with lonely stars will see an empty sky. Their civilizations will grow and learn, but they will never know the universe that once was. We live in a spectacular time period where we can actually look back in time and see the early universe. Future civilizations won't have that luxury. They'll believe that the universe is, and always was, dark, dead, and empty, aside from their small island of light. There are a lot of things posted here that are not really likely to happen anytime soon or affect your life on Earth much. So, if you want something to worry about, may I introduce you to the Carrington event of 1859. Basically, Carrington was a scientist who noticed a flash from a huge cluster of sunspots, which was the biggest coronal mass ejection from the sun ever recorded, aka a ton of material ejected from the sun at high speeds. It hit Earth within a day. Aurora were seen as far south as Hawaii, wires on telephone poles burst into flame, and telegraph operators even reported contacting each other when not connected. If a similar event were to strike Earth today, it would cause billions of dollars in damage, because blown transformers are super hard to replace and a lot of satellites wouldn't be able to handle it, and it goes without saying you'd have a serious radio blackout for a bit until it ended on a ton of essential frequencies. The crazy thing about the Carrington event though is we really have no idea how often such events happen. But we do know that in 2012 there was a Carrington-level solar flare that barely missed Earth. The Great Attractor is kinda ominous. There's an exoplanet with wind that's many times the speed of sound and that rains glass. Another exoplanet that has spent time inside its star. There's a sort of fear that we aren't alone in the universe. Chances are anything we meet won't have remotely similar emotional spectrums that we have. Then there's the horrifying notion that we are alone in that infinite blackness. That we're just a fluke of chemistry that will probably never happen again. Edit, more people have died on Earth than have died on the sun. Spook. The fact that an asteroid could come at any time, and even though we have the technology to tell us that an asteroid is about to impact Earth, what can we really do about it? Nothing. We can do nothing. We can just sit here, with the media stations telling us what will happen, telling our friends and loved ones goodbye, praying, etc. It sucks. Why do we have the technology that tells us our inevitable doom is days, or even moments, away but no technology to possibly stop it? There could be life, but not in the way we think. Like a virus that our immune system simply can't take and we can't cure or make a vaccine for. This was actually thought of before. When the crew from Apollo 11 came back from the moon, they were quarantined for 3 weeks just in case they did have some kind of space virus. Space is big, more than people can easily grasp. I absolutely believe other intelligent life exists. I absolutely believe Earth-like planets with orbits in their star's habitable zone and liquid water exist, and I absolutely believe that with enough time humanity will confirm the existence of both. I also believe manned spacecraft will never leave our solar system. The time and energy required just to reach orbit is massive. The resources necessary to keep a person alive in space are huge. Landing people on Mars is already viewed as a one-way trip, and at its nearest pass it's roughly 34 million miles from Earth. Voyager 1 has been traveling for 42 years and 9 months, it is just shy of 150 Australian dollars, astronomical units, or mean distance of the Earth from the Sun, from home, or nearly 14 billion miles. It is just past the heliosphere of our Sun, or the point at which the Sun's solar wind no longer exerts enough influence to cast a bubble in the background interstellar radiation. This is considered interstellar space. As a frame of reference, the next star over Proxima Centauri is 268,770 Australian dollars from our Sun, or 25 trillion miles. Unless some kind of Einstein-Rosen bridge type of wormhole exists that we can travel, we're not going anywhere. Humans exist within a time frame of Earth's life where the Moon is just at the right distance that we have solar and lunar eclipses the way we do now. The coincidence is just a little too uncanny for my tastes, but it also shows how things can just majestically turn out the way they do out of pure chance. There's a region of space where the ever-present cosmic radiation from the Big Bang is missing. The radiation is everywhere in space except this area there's none. The fact that when you look at the Sun you see it as it was 8 minutes ago, meaning if it were to explode we wouldn't see it explode until 8 minutes because that is the amount of time it takes for the light of the Sun to reach Earth.